when most of us think about the Dark Knight trilogy, we will instantly, and again, I say this is understandable, we will instantly go to thinking about the guy behind it, Christopher Nolan. That being said, we will often forget that there was another Nolan behind it as well. His brother, Jonathan Nolan, who co-wrote all 3 Dark Knight scripts, and by the way, has had an exemplary career since he did Westworld, which I personally wasn't really super huge on Westworld, but it was a real big swing and a lot of people loved it. And of course, he just recently did Fallout, which had a lot of people excited, as well as other things as well. Well, anyway, recently he was being interviewed and kind of asked about going back to the world of Batman. And whereas I kind of expected he would say something like, that was a great time of my life. I wouldn't change a thing, but we're moving on to new horizons, whatever. But that's not what he said at all. He said, hell yeah, I would go back and do this. This comes from the folks over at Total Film who wrote this. It may have been over a decade since The Dark Knight Rises concluded Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy, but screenwriter Jonathan Nolan would jump at the chance to return to Gotham City. Wouldn't that be a dream? He said when asked whether there'd been any talk of reviving the franchise. That period of my life, it was about 10 years of my life when I got the call to go to work on Batman Begins in 2003, to putting The Dark Knight Rises in 2012, and it was epic, he continued. The chance to work with Christian, Heath, Morgan Freeman, Michael Caine, the extraordinary cast in those films, and on an American icon. So, if I had the chance to go back and work on that again, absolutely. All right. For many reasons, this clearly piqued up the bat ears on a lot of fans out there. Look, I'm not one of them, but to many, many, many people out there, the Christopher and Jonathan Nolan, Christian Bale Batman franchise, for a lot of people, is the definitive Batman. That's to them, that is, and for a lot of people, the definitive comic book movies. There are a bunch of people out there that think The Dark Knight is the best comic book movie ever made. I'm not one of them, but it's up there for me, way up there. The franchise is fantastic. And we're heading into a era right now where we've got a brand new head of DC. They're starting out again fresh. They got a lot of options, a lot of opportunities. But they're going to have a Batman in this new DC universe. Christian Bale's Batman does not fit that. They've already got a secondary Batman franchise running with Matt Reeves's and Robert Pattinson's Batman. So I don't know that you're going to have the DC Batman, the Elseworlds Batman, and another Elseworlds Batman. So look, for me personally, I drool at the idea of a Jonathan Nolan returning to write something for The Dark Knight. I just don't see where it goes. Yeah, it's like you're in a furniture store and you see this great couch, but you've already got a couch in your living room, and you say, "I want this couch," but I've got nowhere to put it.
That's stack them.
Like.
You gotta stack them.
Yeah. I just like that I feel like he has more stories to tell. He wants to tell more stories. He has something up his sleeve. Like, I just love the thought that he wants to add, or is it that he wants to add to the Dark Knight or do his own Dark Knight? Do we get the sense of what he's talking about?
Well, he never said, that's a good question. He never said he wants to, I want to fill my brother's shoes. And I just think he's got more stories he'd like to tell.
Yeah. And I want to know about these stories because
I'm going to go on a limb here. If they announce tomorrow, and they're clearly not, I'm just saying, if they announce tomorrow that even if Christopher didn't come back, although I'm sure that would be part of the deal with Jonathan, let's say DC was working with Jonathan Nolan and they were bringing back Christian Bale and they were going to pick up on Dark Knight Part 4. If they announce that tomorrow, does anybody doubt the internet would break? Like, is there any doubt that is not the number one story on every entertainment outlet, on even the non-entertainment outlet? DC announces Christian Bale returning to play Batman, and they're going to do a Batman The Dark Knight 4. Is there anybody out there that isn't celebrating that? I don't think they're going to do it, but there's that. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Miracle Made. Did you know that your temperature at night can have one of the greatest impacts on your sleep quality? If you wake up too hot or too cold, I highly recommend you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. Inspired by NASA, Miracle Made uses silver-infused fabrics and makes temperature-regulating bedding so that you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. When they arrived at our house, my wife Ann loved the feel of them so much, she couldn't even wait for me to get home to put them on our bed. Miracle Made has self-cleaning. These sheets are infused with silver that prevents up to 99.7% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets. Miracle Sheets also have incredible comfort and quality. Miracle Sheets are luxuriously comfortable without the high price tag of other luxury brands and feel as nice, if not nicer, than sheets used by some 5-star hotels. So go to TryMiracle, that's TryMiracle.com/Campea to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo code Campea at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you will get a full refund. So upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to TryMiracle.com/Campea and use the code Campea to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's TryMiracle.com/Campea to treat yourself. And anyway, Jeff, this is Jonathan Nolan coming out and saying this, like, not just, oh yeah, but he's saying that would be a dream. I would jump at the chance to go back and do that. Is he right to feel that way? Would there be excitement amongst fans? Is there any actual practical possibility they could do this? How do you see it?
I don't think that there's any real possibility of this happening. I think we'd all love it. Like, he did a great job with that. But, you know, what are we talking about when we talk about that trilogy? We're talking about the movies that were made by his brother. And so it's like, I don't think Jonathan Nolan wants to come back and write a Batman movie for Andy Muschietti or for Ruben Fleischer or for whoever, right? It's like, it's all in the execution. So he had a great experience writing those Batman movies because, well, an incredible filmmaker made them, and that incredible filmmaker also serves as a talent magnet. So who's to say if you write a Batman movie and then pass it off to some kind of like studio hack director that you even get as talented a cast as that Dark Knight trilogy had. I think it was, you know, just like a perfect set of circumstances. I think it would be really tough to recreate those circumstances in that creative environment again. I don't anticipate the Nolans, either one of them, returning, but of course it would be a dream come true. Yes.
Now I've seen, understandably, I've seen a couple of people in the live chat saying something like Christian Bale would never come back for that. And
he would if Chris asked.
Okay, well, yes, he said that publicly, that if Chris Nolan asked him to come back, he would. But I also want everybody to remember this, that at the premiere of The Dark Knight Rises, Christian Bale was straight up asked, would you do more comic book movies after this? To which he definitively said no.
Right.
No, I've got other things to do now. I'm not going to do comic book movies anymore. It's that. Well, guess what? We had a little movie called Thor: Love and Thunder.
Oh.
Now, granted, he wasn't in as much as that as he should have been in.
He was the best part of it.
He was the best part of it, maybe. But what he said no before, guess what? Years go by, perspectives change, circumstances change, tastes change, things you're interested in, things you might want to try out again. Remember, Sylvester Stallone said he was done with Rambo. That was a couple of Rambo films ago.
He's cutting up hearts still.
Vin Diesel said he was done with Fast and the Furious. We've had 8 more with him since then.
We're done. Okay. He's not.
Let's say this James Gunn DC just completely falls apart. There is a chance for Dark Knight 4.
Oh, look. Okay, first of all, you can't just drop that grenade and then casually move on. If James Gunn's DC falls apart.
I'm just saying, there's always possible.
If James Gunn's DC falls apart, that is cataclysmic for Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
That's not just some little thing you then later brush under the rug. But I think you're right. But even then, there's a ticking clock, right? Like if James Gunn's, they're going to give James Gunn, starting in 2025, they're going to give James Gunn and Peter Safran minimum, as they should, 3 years. Minimum 3 years to see if they can get that thing going. Okay, so let's say it all falls apart. Do I think then they go to the houses of both Christopher Nolan and Jonathan Nolan and Christian Bale with dump trucks filled with stolen Spanish bullion gold and say, whatever you guys want. Yeah, they do that.
With the older Dark Knight story.
With an older, you start getting into the Dark Knight Returns kind of age.
Yeah,
I would love that.
Awesome.
But then you gotta recast Joker, and in that world, that's tough.
Well, I mean, obviously you can't do Joker. Well, I guess no, Joker never technically died in the Dark Knight universe. So yeah, you'd have to recast, or you do something completely different. But I think to Jeff's point, it would probably take something like that, because I think certainly as long as Matt Reeves' Batman is going, which was financially successful, loved by the audience, loved by the critics, and unless James Gunn's DC completely collapses, that's the only way I see this actually happening. Otherwise, I agree with Jeff. I just don't think it's something that could. But oh, the thought of it is very delicious.
It's making my mouth water.
Yeah. The thought of it is very delicious. So anyway, guys, question is for you.
Time for a lunch break.
What do you think about this? Jonathan Nolan, Christopher Nolan's brother, who co-wrote all the Dark Knight films and just finished doing Fallout, is saying it would be not just I would do it, it would be a dream, and I would jump at the chance to go back and do that again. Do you like that idea? Do you think there's any realistic possibility it could happen? Do you think other people would be excited about it? Maybe yes, maybe no. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.